So when I was like 13 years old, I think I made my first $3,000 to $5,000 online. Nothing changed in my life until I decided that, hey, emails is the one thing I want to do and I'm not going to focus on anything else. But it was a lot more effort than I thought, you know? Like everyone always used to say, hey, I reach out to 100 people a day, and I thought that was a joke until I actually had to do it. I think I listened to all the podcast episodes with like Iman, Luca, some insane guests like Brandon Carter, and it's just so crazy to me because sitting here and concluding our first podcast episode, it's insane.
All right, everybody, long anticipated interview / podcast with my guy Tarun here. We've actually been wanting to do this for, a couple years now. Even last year when we came to Cape Town, we were supposed to do this, but we've waited till now to finally do this. So welcome, bro.
I'm excited.
Long awaited pod, CEO, founder of Arcady Media. All these other accolades I can't think of right now, but a lot of accolades.
A couple.
Top 4 email agency of 2024.
Let's go.
But I think it'll be good to just start this podcast or this interview. Just talking about your journey. I want to cover your journey, covers a couple of things with your agency. I think you've taken such a unique path and done it a more right way, right? Mm-hmm. Where I think maybe a lot of people optimize for cash flow. Mm-hmm. And profit. I think you really have optimized it where you've built a legit, long-term, proper business, and that's something I admire, and it's something that I feel like a lot of other email marketers in our space admire. So I want to touch on a lot of that, but let's just even start with the journey, man. What made you want to do something online? What made you not take the path of, going to school, I don't know what career you want to get on early on, but just kind of want to talk about that and start from there, bro. Let's talk about that, bro.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it just stemmed from like a pretty young age, I think we came from a very, for the people who don't know, I live like 5 minutes away from Splash growing up. And so I think growing up in that neighborhood when I was 12, I was always like, I want to make money. I just don't know how to do it. I think, I wanted to buy certain things when I was in middle school. And so I actually got started in my journey with digital goods. And so when I was about 12, 13 years old, I had a friend who taught me how to, play games, collect digital goods in the games, and then sell them. So when I was like 13 years old, I think I made my first $3,000 to $5,000 online. Mm-hmm. And I was living, that was the first time I could Uber Eats everything. And I was like, I could actually.
What year is this?
I honestly don't remember. Maybe like 2015.
Oh wow, it's damn near 10 years ago.
Yeah, a while ago. Wait, no, not 2015. That would have to be like 2017 or 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it started with that. When I got into high school, it kind of dropped off. I think I used to watch a lot of YouTube and everything. And then when I actually came to school one year, and I told this story at your at your event. I had a friend, or actually, let me start here. Our teacher came around asking us what we're doing in like spring break, right? And so I was really excited. I think I just said, I'm going to China. It was a very interesting spring break. I said, I'm going to China. And I thought that was going to be the coolest like spring break thing to do until a girl in my class, which ended up being PB's sister, she was like, I'm going to go work for my brother. And I was like, how old's your brother? She was like 19 and he has a condo in Toronto. And I was like, that's insane. I want to figure out what he does. I want to learn more about what he does as well. So kind of learned about Splash then. Fast forward to like 2020. There's a lot in 2020 as well. But fast forward to 2020. Saw PB had a program. I wanted to buy it. And so I ended up, and this is when we had like lockdown, almost no jobs available during COVID. And so essentially what I did is I went and worked at our local casino. And I got my first like $1,000 working at the casino because I was like dead $0 in my bank account. And I spent, I think, $500 out of the $1,000 I earned on PB's course. And that's where it all started.
Yeah, I remember that day. My sister came to me with like a Ziploc bag of cash. And she's like, oh, someone from my class said he wants to, get your Black Friday promo or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Probably bought some cigars with that money, to be honest. But that's when he started. And what's cool as well is that like we knew like our families or whatever knew each other, but we never met. Like I kind of grew up with his older sister growing up, and my sister and him have been in like the same class growing up. Another crazy coincidence about me and him is like, outside of us both doing email, being from where we are, is that we had the exact same middle school teachers, same high school teacher. Like when we talk about our favorite teachers, like we had the exact same, favorite teachers, the teachers that we really like, that had an impact on us. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So no, it's
Shout out Mr. Genosi.
yeah, shout out Mr. Genosi and shout out Miss Brown for real, because it's awesome to kind of just like, it's very rare to have these type of things. So it was
Yeah.
really, really cool to see this happen. But yeah, let's talk about your journey, bro, because I know it wasn't, like all sunshine and rainbows from the start. I know I think even for the first year, like you were struggling to kind of get one of your first clients.
Yeah.
And I just want you to talk about the initial journey, because I think just like maybe everyone else, you kind of joined and you found out about this program and everything seemed perfect and you thought, okay, now like in a couple months I'm gonna be successful, right?
Yeah.
But just talk about like the expectations and then maybe just coming into reality of like
Yeah.
what it actually ended up becoming, like talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first 2 years I was in the program, I really coasted, right? Like, I think I joined the program with the expectation that, hey, it's super easy to make all this online money, which don't get me wrong, it definitely was pretty simple.
Very simple.
So it wasn't like that it was a very difficult path, but it was a lot more effort than I thought, Like everyone always used to say, hey, I reach out to 100 people a day, and I thought that was a joke until I actually had to do it, right? Like sending all those DMs. And even when I got started, like having some funny conversations, like I was a teenager calling people being like, hey, my mentor made millions of dollars for other businesses. I want to do the same for you.
Right.
And it really only came into fruition when there was one client who actually took the chance. He was like, dude, make me the mentor, or make me the money that your mentor has made for other businesses. And it started with our client Bombshell Wax. If they ever watch this, he actually took a chance on me.
True.
And what was amazing is with that first client, like we actually made them so much money. I think we had a 10% rev share on the emails generated revenue. And that's when I kind of saw that my first couple of dollars online with the service. But then I think where the issue was those first 2 years is I was very complacent. Like I didn't know whether I wanted to do school, whether I wanted to do the program. And really nothing changed in my life until I kind of decided that, hey, emails is the one thing I want to do, and I'm not going to focus on anything else.
100%. And I think even for those listening, if it's not email, whatever you're going to try, you got to you need to go all in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, I'm exploring this, that, but they don't really have that one thing that they're going to go all in on, because that's what it takes, that obsession, that commitment to mastery in order to actually make it work. And
100%.
Speaking on that is like, what was your like aha moment? I guess, maybe if it is that first client, but what was that aha moment that made you go, okay, this is what I want to pursue long term.
Yeah.
I don't care about school. I don't care about any of these other things. Like, what was that moment for you, you'd say?
So I'll preface it this way. I think in the program, I saw so many people making so much money that when I joined, I was like, I have to do this. But then I started to realize like it took me much longer than a lot of people within the program to actually hit like some level of success with just the agency overall. And so I didn't really have that aha moment even within the first like 2 years, because I was like, will it work out? Will it not? Until, I really started to hire team members. I think that was when there was the biggest aha, because when we started bringing on our first few team members, not only did it kind of help me realize that, hey, now I'm not only building for myself, but I'm building for other people.
Right.
Obviously, there was a lot of mistakes along the way of hiring.
For sure, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
for sure.
a ton. But the biggest aha was definitely when I had a team and I realized, hey, like now I get to not only change my life, but I get to change theirs.
Right.
And so I believe it was when we had our first like 2 virtual assistants, like it wasn't even anything crazy. But I realized like, hey, every paycheck I send them, they get to do something they enjoy and I get to do something I enjoy as well. And it also felt like I had to do, it wasn't just me doing all the technical work and me being a freelancer, but now I was actually starting to build an agency. So that was about 2 years in. And that's when I started going more all into the agency as well.
That's amazing, man. 100%. I think once you start hiring people, it becomes much more real.
Yeah.
Because you realize, like, in a way, it's like all fun and games. It doesn't even feel real until, like, you realize, like, whatever you do is like directly impacting people's day-to-day lives, or how they rely on you to feed their family, support their family, you know. So it is, and if you think about it, you know, like at your age, like it's a crazy responsibility to take on,
Yeah.
and kind of have that realization.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point as well about the people in the course and like everything, and this is for people listening, is that in the beginning where nothing feels like it's working, I think hope is such an important factor
100%.
when it comes to like keeping you going, because we all might have these expectations that it's easy, but you know, like the word you use, it's not easy, it's simple, right? It is very simple. You're writing emails. Like, let's just keep it like 100, right? It's like you're writing emails for businesses. Like you're not coding, honestly, you're not even working at McDonald's. I even think like working at McDonald's is like harder. You know what I mean? When you look at it technically, it is technically like it is a bit harder, right? When it comes to like, you know, working at McDonald's versus writing emails. But you know what I always say is that the easy part that the people, or the hard part about this, is that it's simple. And since it's so simple, no one wants to do it consistently.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the hard part, is the consistency. But let's speak on exactly that, man. I think the team side of things. I think you've built an amazing business with amazing, like, really good team members, where I've seen you kind of grow as a leader. I've seen the team you've been able to build. You've also just got an office recently as well. Talk a little bit more about just, like, I guess first letting them know like what it takes to actually build a proper business, how you can't do it alone, and what you've learned just hiring, and we can kind of go more deep into that, but just like I just want to introduce that topic, I guess, for to start off with.
Yeah. I mean, this one's for you guys, right? Like, I think the viewers need to know, in those first 2 years of really starting the agency, something that was huge for me was like really the delayed gratification, right? Like you said, hope matters so much, because there was so many people who were kind of teaching me, hey, like, all you need is virtual assistants. You can charge this much, and you can make this much in profit. You can go to any business and just, like, we have X, Y, and Z amount of revenue. It's super easy to scale. But it never really felt true to me that like I can go and help a business if I don't know how to do the thing better than them, right? There was a lot of instances where, and a lot of people will tell you this, when they work with an agency, they don't have a good experience, but that's simply because the agency they hire is not experienced in the thing they're hiring for, right?
True.
And so for me, those first 2 years, I actually saw that more as lucky than I did as like, it took me way longer than everyone else, because I actually really got to learn email marketing, right? Like, it was the foundational skills that took us to where we are now. And the one thing I haven't stopped doing from when I started on day one to now is learning, right? And we emphasize that in the entire team as well, because no matter how talented someone is, they don't know everything in the world. They don't know enough of what their role is. And there's always something new. There's always something new to learn. And even if it's not something new, actually practicing what you learn as well. And so even for me, like right now, we're sitting at about 25 team members, and I'm still in the Klaviyo accounts. I'm still trying to learn, like, what is next for email marketing? How can we improve for each of our clients? Because that's what people come to us for, right? We need to be the best in the space, and the only way you can do that is continuously learning and understanding that one skill set of just continuing to learn, trying to be the best at the thing is what's going to make you good at hiring as well, right? Like, I think for all our hires that we've had, it was very important for me to at least get a very good understanding of what that role is actually going to look like. What is someone who can do a good job at that role? I really can't leave that to be guesswork, because then I'm doing a disservice to myself. I'm doing a disservice to the team, as well as the clients who trust us and working with them.
100%, 100%. It's funny you mentioned that, because I get people that, let's say, want to work with me or want to learn more or want to scale. They're so focused on the marketing tactics, the sales, how do I get more leads? But the fundamental of what we do is people hire us to do something and find a solution, right?
100%.
And I've always said is that, I've told people straight up, like, if you start emails today and somehow in 3 months you're better than us at emails, it's like, whoever our client is, yes, they should work with you, right? So it's like the fundamental of actually having a successful business, it's not getting more leads, it's not having all these different tactics, it's actually just being the best solution in the market.
Yeah.
Right. When you're the best in the market, like you don't have to compete on price. You don't have to compete, period, honestly, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's good. It's a good reminder because I think so many times I see people focus on the money side. Hey, when can I get a ROI? Hey,
Yep.
when can I make my first 10K a month? But it's like, all right, you want to make 10K a month, but do you have 10K a month skills? And the answer usually is no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm like heavy on in our mastermind, and just even like I think you know this as well, just how what I preach is skills, you know,
Yeah.
not business models, not these new tactics. It's actually skills, like actually
100%.
just being good at what you're providing, right? Because that's what people hire us for. Service business, that's what we hire. Like that's why service businesses get hired
Yeah.
to provide the best service, right? And then if you provide the best service, naturally you're gonna win, and you're not gonna have to do anything. And I'm pretty sure you can attest to this because you've met some of these people. It's like some of the top agencies, they are just that good. They
Yeah.
have the best talent where they can solve that problem for the client in the best way possible.
100%, right? Like I think the best agencies that I've seen, it's like the clients want to work with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they value their skill sets so much. They value how much value they're able to provide to businesses so much that they'll even say no to a lot of good opportunities, right? And I think this year is finally the first year we got to do a lot more of that, where it's like, we have enough clients to sustain our team, and we've really only been taking on the opportunities that we know we can make differences to the business and where we can actually provide that value. And to your point, that's exactly what we invest in as well. Like it's very interesting because we just finished our 2024 profit and loss statement, and our team costs were more than our marketing, our advertising, and our acquisition costs combined. I think it was even more than like all the administrative stuff combined with all the sales, marketing,
Right.
etc. And that's last year was the year we grew the most,
Right.
right? So we invested the most in team, and we still had the highest amount of growth that we've ever seen.
Right. Let's touch on that, is like building a solid team, because it's you don't realize how tough and how hard it really is.
Yeah.
And I think also something that we've been aware of, because we don't really come from, in a way, a business background. We just kind of tried this thing and we're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
And same with you, is like, what have you learned, man? Of like, something you made me aware of, and something I realized is like good talent is scarce, right?
Very.
So like what have you done, or how have you made sure that you are, getting the best team members? And I'm sure you're still learning, but
Yeah.
I think it would be even good to kind of start with some of the mistakes you made when it comes to hiring, and
Yep.
kind of go on to talk about some of the changes you've made and things you've realized when it comes to what you guys do now, and the process that you have now when it comes to actually bringing people on.
100%. So I'll preface this conversation, especially for the viewers, with I'm still a very tiny team. So 25 people, even if I think we were 50 or 100, nobody's got it figured out at that level.
Right.
Right? There's a reason all these Fortune 500 companies have so many different CEOs in the rotation, where they're investing millions of dollars in executive teams and they still find a way to screw up. Because it's not just about the people, but it's also about the company, right? So it's like really getting very clear on what you value and bringing people in that value the same things, or at least similar things. And so what's very interesting, and I think, for our team, something that really helped us grow was what I consider our current leadership team. And I say that in quotations because, again, we're just figuring things out as well. And our teams, we're very transparent with our team about that. But, I think bringing in Kimberly and Ahmed, who's my operations and my salesperson, they've been helping kind of take on a lot of those important responsibilities
Right.
within the agency. And it helps me because now I have someone dedicated to growing a specific part of our agency, and I'm also assisting them as much as possible, right? It doesn't mean
Right.
that I get to step out of the agency whatsoever. If anything, with more people, I think I work way more, and you've seen that.
That's a huge, I think, in a way, misconception, and a mistake I made, probably you as well, is thinking that we're gonna hire someone and now, okay, it's no longer gonna be on top of our mind. It's their personal responsibility. It's actually, like you said, complete opposite.
It is the complete opposite. But yeah, going back to the teams, it really is that like core team that really helped me. Kimberly and Ahmed, I'm sure they'll be watching this.
100%.
And, they were big parts of our growth back in 2022 as well. And going back to that core value thing, obviously now our team is very well paid, but even team members like Kimberly and Ahmed, they only joined me because they shared the same values. Right? There was a point in 2022 where I actually flew out to Los Angeles for an event, and we actually were growing quite well. But we had two clients who pulled back. I think we started losing more clients because our team was just not being the level they needed to be, and this is 3 years ago now. And it was because those two team members just stopped working all of a sudden. Keep in mind, like I was very new to the team hiring thing, and they just left because it was actually a couple, and I made that mistake as well back in the day. And it was a couple, right? So they actually up and left me while I went to Los Angeles, and we just hired 3 more people. So it was the first time I was hiring people, and they were about to train them. They leave. I have 3 new hires who have no idea what they're doing, and so we kind of just stopped doing everything while I was in Los Angeles. And this is when I'm meeting with several agency owners who have done things like football Super Bowl ads.
Wow.
And they had like Emmy awards. And I had meetings set with them in order to partner up with them. And they're telling me, hey, our ICP is $500 million to $1 billion that they've invested in, et cetera. Wow. And I just had to pretend like, I'm here. I'm an agency too. I'm one of the best email agencies out there. And that's really when I realized, okay, I need a really good team, number one. And number two, the confidence also just came from me being really good at the skill. Because even though I'd lost the team members, I knew some way I'd figure it out, right? And so after that summer, I actually posted while I was in Los Angeles, hey, like, is there anyone who's looking to kind of join me? I posted on my story. I was connecting with a lot of the community. And Kimberly and Ahmed both actually came from the community.
Came from the mastermind community,
exactly.
Growth Writer for sure.
Yeah, and so Kimberly was in Toronto. I met up with her. I told her my situation. Ahmed was online. He actually applied to be an account manager. And I saw both their skill sets. I told them, hey, they need to be doing this with me, and here's where we're going to go. And the important part was I fulfilled that promise, and now we are here, and we're growing, and we're only continuing to grow more.
100%. A quick point on that, something I've learned, something you've learned as well, is that money is never going to be a good enough motivator to a good talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that because they can honestly, like, they can earn money. I think good people that are purpose driven, they need a vision, they need a purpose, and the purpose of the business cannot be to make the founder rich. And I think maybe in the past, like, that's a mistake I made, where when you look at how I had set up my business, how we do things, it was so optimized for me to profit the most at the end of the month. But then you realize, like, that's how you churn people. That's how, in a way, people feel undervalued, underutilized, and then kind of go and do their own thing maybe. Or, of course, you're always going to have bad apples, period. But anyone that's going to stick with you long term, outside of the pay, because of course you want to make sure that you're taking care of their day-to-day needs and they can cover their bills and they can support their family, but they also want to be working towards a vision, and the example I always give is like Elon Musk and SpaceX or any of his companies is like, I'm pretty sure the people at SpaceX get more excited about colonizing Mars or going to Mars than actual whatever, stock options they have or their monthly, yearly salary or their bonus. Now, don't get me wrong, that is needed, but that goal, that vision. And I think same way, that's why you have such a great business and you're such a great leader. You're like, you are embodying, not only are you embodying that vision and purpose, but you're making sure that your team understands it and they feel a part of something as well, where again, otherwise it's, they're only gonna do so much, right? They're gonna get paid to do you paid me to do A to B, I'll do A to B. They'll never take the initiative to actually get better, figure things out. They're just gonna clock in, clock out. So I think that's a really, really great point to touch on. If you just had to give some couple pointers and just kind of, let's say, jot note advice on hiring and building a good team from what you learned so far, what are some things you would say, even if you had to just say, like, let's say 3 to 5 things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just being really clear on what you want. I think mistakes are a part of hiring.
Facts.
I've made a lot of hiring mistakes, but that's also where you learn the most, right? I think a lot of entrepreneurs talk about like learning from the mistake, embracing failures, but it only matters if you actually use the lessons from those failures in order to succeed, right? And so for our hiring, it will never be the same for anybody, right? Every organization is different. Your values are different than mine.
Facts.
My values are different than someone else's. And so in order for especially a small team, I think one of the most important things is just being aligned on both your vision as well as what you value, right? And then working together or figuring that out and then publishing that. Like, I think for me, it was kind of sharing that vision with those first few hires. And they really believed in that vision, and that's why they came on. And then as we grow as an organization, we've started to learn, hey, these are the traits that we don't really appreciate about certain individuals. And there might be another company out there that does like those traits, But for us personally, that might not be what helps you succeed in our company, because
Facts.
at the end of the day, we're a very small team. You work with everyone very often, and you want to genuinely enjoy working with them. So I think that having that list of do's and don'ts within your organization is very important. And then I think everyone says this, the core values, but that's something that I think you have to really think about. It's not a one-day thing where you ask ChatGPT what the core values
Facts,
are.
facts,
I think it's
facts.
more just like really getting clear on what you value and what the company should value as well.
Yeah, and I think anytime you hire or fire someone, they teach you a lot about what you want and how you want things. Like you said, and it's so unique. It's always so unique,
Yeah.
right? Like you hire this person, they do this. You realize, you know what? I want more of this, or "Hey, I don't want this type of trait. And it's so like you said, even though it might seem like a mistake, it's actually probably some of the most valuable information you could get.
100%.
Let's kind of build upon that. I think, I always tell people, is like whenever I go to events, any marketing events and such, like you pretty much know everyone in the room from different companies and
Yeah.
such. And, I kind of want to speak on how to do that in a more authentic way, because I think in the other side, we've kind of seen the inauthentic way where the guys just come to these events and they're just pitching,
Mhm.
or where it feels so forced that, like they're not trying to really build a genuine relationship. And I think that you have done this unique thing where you actually have genuine relationship with people from Klaviyo, people from Attentive, Shopify, all that, right? So kind of speak on that of
Yeah.
why that's important, one, and two, like, like what made you even kind of want to do that?
I think this is where, and I'll quote it, I think from Brandon Carter, was just, Splash Man knows everybody. And he was just saying, like, anybody you meet, Splash Man knows, right? So I think a lot of those traits were actually what I learned from you more specifically. I think hanging around you and understanding, like, even right now, we're sitting at a beautiful, like, house from one of our friends or one of, someone you introduced me to as well. Everywhere we go, it's not just about like what someone does or what someone has, but it's about like just someone being genuinely cool, right? Like having cool people in your life, having people that you like to vibe with, someone you like, friends who you genuinely enjoy, just because of their actual personality traits. And so I think going back into like the business side of things, I tried to just embrace that as well. Like I don't think I ever searched for people who would benefit me the most. Like if there was agency A who had 500 clients and agency B who had 10, I wouldn't try to go to like agency A and be like, hey, you guys need to work with us, this, and that. It would just be more like, who do I genuinely find a connection with? There was a lot of people who related with me on just being like an immigrant, hustling to where they got to go. A lot of people in those, big tech companies who wanted to do what I was doing, but didn't get the chance to do it. And so they kind of just connected with me more so on the fact that they respected what I was doing.
Right.
And they really some of them saw themselves in me.
Right.
Right. And so I think not only leveraging my age, but also just like the being open about my journey and what we've done and what we're achieving and what we want to achieve helped me connect with a lot of people who not only were very talented at what they do in all these software companies, but in business overall. Like I think the people who genuinely cared about us and our success, even if they had 10 clients, it would help us way more than people who might just artificially care about our success who have a 500, right? So I think that mattered way more. The authentic connections was something I started to value because I saw how you did it with a lot of the people I've met. And so, yeah, I just used that and carried that philosophy with me.
Yeah, and how have those relationships benefited you in just business period, you would say?
Oh, amazing. Like, I think early on, after that, like, drought in 2022 or 2023, we even had, I think we had a Klaviyo event in Toronto that we went together to. We met, like, someone who was doing the head of, like, development on product. And this is actually the head honcho at Klaviyo at the time. He left after the stock options after they went public. But he was, like, the head honcho of the product at the time. And I was just telling him, like, I was kind of geeking out, like I'm a pretty technical guy. And so on Klaviyo, like I said.
You're a what guy, sorry?
Technically guy. I'm a pretty technical guy. And so for me, it was. No, yeah, so I'm a pretty technical guy. So I think talking to him and kind of geeking out on like Klaviyo this, Klaviyo that, and actually asking him genuine questions that I was like curious about, he took a liking to me. And I think that next month he closed a client for us. Like I literally didn't know what the difference was between the platform the client was using and Klaviyo. And then he jumped on the call. He said, "Don't tell anybody." And now I just won't reveal his name, but he said, "Don't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to do this." He jumped on the call. He spoke about the differences between the platforms. He was like, you guys need to use this agency, even though he barely knew about the agency.
Wow.
And then he closed the client for us because he genuinely
Wow.
had that liking for us.
No, that makes such a difference, you know what I mean? And like I've realized now, and you know this as well, in a way, like everyone is hunting for the same people, and there's also so much cream of the crop when it comes to clients. And I think the one factor that matters the most when it comes to a person working with an agency or just any service provider is trust.
Yeah.
So if you can have that trust from this prior relationship, I think that, you know, again, that close was probably so much easier for you because the guy sold you. So you didn't even have to sell yourself like that, you know. And I think that's very, very important. And on that, I would say, you know, let's talk about, I guess, working with brands versus drop shippers, right? Because I get asked this all the time. Hey, I want to start working with drop shippers. I want to work with brands, but sometimes I'm also like, you know, your business doesn't act as if they work with brands, or it's not positioned to work with brands because they have certain expectations, certain standards. So kind of talk about that difference on that, because I genuinely do believe there's a huge difference in working with kids that are getting lucky off of just a product versus actual business owners that understand business principles, fundamentals, and how to approach the day-to-day life, you know, of a business owner.
100%. So I think, let me preface with this. I won't shit on dropshippers because I think obviously majority of them, they're pretty much just lucky in terms of, you know, found a product, but they don't know how to run a business. But then there's also a lot of dropshippers who are genuinely really good business owners as well. And we work with several dropshippers who are very good business
you know,
owners.
I've had like, this is not a thing to shit on. Like we've had good ones, but let's just say, you know, in common, in general.
Like the first time business owners. I think again, it goes back to like having that team, and then more than the team, having the skills, right? Like successful business owners, even investors, they believe in founders, right? And so I think I'm at this stage where we're still founder led, right? They're still jumping on calls with me, they're jumping on calls with the team, and everyone still embodies the same vision. It's really full circle where it's like, you know, they see that the whole team really cares about their business, and that's why they choose to work with us. And you know, that's actually how we win deals compared to larger agencies too, is like we genuinely care about the business. We go out of our way to actually create game plans and things that we want to do with this business and show them the plan of action before even bringing them on. And again, real business owners, they can sense when someone doesn't really have the skill set versus when they do, right? And so they've done enough of the hiring, firing. They've worked with a lot of agencies. And so that multiple time business owner who's hiring you, you know, people with successful businesses, they're successful for a reason. And so they can sniff BS from a mile away.
Something I've realized when it comes to, you know, trying to work with these brands that are, again, willing to pay you that high amount is that you need to be ready, because you can't fool people's subconscious and their intuition. You know, I've had it, or I've been in places where I realize I'm having this conversation with someone and I'm realizing, yo, like I am not ready for this, right? Or I have tried to work with someone where they have said something where instinctually made me realize this is not the right fit, right? So same with, like you said, right? Like if the skill level is not there, these brand owners, you're not gonna fool them. They're gonna know, hey, like, you know, this person's just not it, like, because they have that experience and they've kind of built their intuition where they know what's right or what feels right or what feels wrong, right? Because I think in business that's a bit underrated, is like people's intuition when it comes to making decisions. So again, to also sign these brands, I think like you need to be there skill level wise, right? That's why I always tell people like, yo, practice. So when you're having these conversations, you can speak with conviction
100%.
and you can speak without hesitation, because that means so much, you know? Like I think when I am talking about a topic I know a lot about, like I don't hesitate. I can make up things, not even make up, like come up with things on the spot because I'm very knowledgeable, right? Versus if I don't know what I'm talking about, it's like, one, you also feel nervous. You know what I'm saying? That's why you feel nervous. It's because you know, oh shit, like I'm this person might literally like ask me something I don't know. But if your skill level is there, then you know you can battle anything, any objection they might have, any questions. You've kind of already heard it. So it's a lot to do with the preparation side of things as well, I would say, you know, working with the brands.
And you got to outwork the doubt, you know, like you
Facts. That's true.
If you're doubting what you can do for a brand, then maybe you're not ready to work with the brand. For us, it's like, the only reason we work with this level of brand now, and again, it's not like we're working with billion-dollar companies or anything yet, but it all comes with time, right? Like
Yep.
we've been doing this for a while, and that's why I still learn so aggressively. Like I'm still trying to be the best, try to find any resource I possibly can for email marketing. I think I buy every single person's course to make sure that they don't even have that one tidbit that I
Yep.
don't know yet, right? And so I even pay for consulting calls, etc., just to be the best, because that's what I value, and that's the only way you're gonna win a lot of these people. And now we've even come to the point where it's like, initially when I just started, it was a lot of business owners who didn't even know about the concept of email marketing, so you were kind of
Right.
educating them on that. And now it's like we work with people and point of contacts within companies that are better than most email marketing agencies.
Right.
Like these
Wow.
guys are people who have educated themselves to another degree. Like they are, been in the e-commerce space for ages. Some have been in e-commerce for more than a decade, right? Like they've been in it for a very, very long time, like actually multiple decades. They've been doing e-commerce for ages. And the only way that you can actually get better than them is just being so set on mastering that one skill and always realizing that in conflict to what I just said, you can never master it. Like you have to
True.
keep
True. True.
working to just become better
Yeah,
and better.
I mean that's what makes the greats greats is that they never feel like they're good enough. Like it's that imposter syndrome. I think I kind of had that for years.
Yeah.
I thought one day someone's gonna come and just call me a fraud. Like someone's gonna come and say this guy's a fraud. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So I would like almost again outwork the doubt. Talking about Arcady's future, just sharing what you want to share. I would say of course keep certain things still to what you're doing. I think in 2025, I know you want to grow the business much more. Kind of have learned a lot from this last year, which was a transformational year for you.
Yeah.
On the things that you can share without sharing any confidential information, what are some changes you're gonna make as you move forward with Arcady, and just what's in store?
Dude, yeah. I mean, so I think we probably skipped past the parts where it's like we got an office.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Like
I think
we did a
we
lot
briefly
this year.
mentioned that a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like we did a lot this year. We got an office. We have so many team members. A lot of them are now like, it's not. It started off as all contractors and all this, and now like we have so many full-time employees. Like there's a lot more responsibilities and weight on the shoulders now. But I honestly love it. Like I've grown to embrace it,
Facts.
and it just makes me love the agency so much more. And I think in 2025, like we're ready. Like I think in actually, just to rewind here, in 2024, there was so much that we learned. Like that we went through lots of hiring and firing. We built an application relationship management system.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a CRM. We built an ARM because we valued like bringing in employees that much. We actually did that back in 2023, not even 24. And we spent thousands of dollars every single month on advertising for jobs and everything, right? So we had tons that we did in 2024. And in 2025, without going too deep into like, the internal team's goals and
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah,
they
for
want to
sure.
be, I think as an agency, we're just looking to do two major things. And that's bring on more talented people. We already have a very good group of core talented people, but I don't think we're at the point where we have enough yet. Like
Right.
I'm very hungry to bring on more talented team members. Anyone that's watching, if you want to shoot me a message as well,
If you're good enough.
if you're amazing at what you do, definitely send me a message. But I think it's really just bringing on more talented team members, growing this amazing team, and then the second part to that is just providing more value to the team, right? Like I think one of the biggest things that I learned is the more value to bring to the team, the more value they bring to you. They all have a shared common goal with me to continue building the agency, but that's all because it also benefits them, right? Like we're really looking to help them grow their careers, help them, pioneer a path for themselves. And it's been really cool to see because I've seen people who, almost knew nothing about e-commerce, started as like freelance writers, now become some of our best team members who are
Right.
better at emails than a lot of people. Like we've been honestly jumping into the deep end with working with brands who are doing 60 million a year, brands who are doing 100 million a year. Like it's insane the brands we brought on this year. And then now we're also talking to a few enterprise companies, and we're just looking to crush it for them even more.
True, true. On the office side of things, what was the fact, or the question is like, was our friend Dylan a factor in
100%.
getting the office?
100%. Like I think Dylan was huge. Dylan and I have to say Sharma as
Sean
well.
as well, for sure,
Um,
100%.
For those of you who don't know, and let this be like a testament to at least how hungry I am to make this work and really win. In 2024, like I still have not moved out of my parents' house, but I started renting the office first because I was like,
Facts.
I need a workspace for me and the team. And it's been amazing. Like I don't think we have too many team members in person yet. We're still figuring out the in-person hiring part, but we've built a pretty cool office. It looks awesome.
100%.
We've been, inviting a lot of people to come work out of there. I know you come work out of there sometimes as well. And then we've also got like our content guy in there. We've got our advertorials guy in there. And it's just honestly a split test. I was like, I'm young. I'd rather, invest my money into testing things for the growth of the business rather
Right.
than my lifestyle.
Right.
Like I could not care to, and even though we're sitting here in Cape Town right now, it's still an experience, but I couldn't care to like move out and try to just spend money on like a Lamborghini, whatever, right? Like I think for me, I'd rather invest that money, those thousands of dollars into how can we continue to make the agency better for the team. And it goes back into like the retention, the keeping the best team members thing that you were talking about, because it just shows even my team, like, everything that we do here, everything I preach isn't just to kind of say, hey, here's the vision, and then I go do something else. It's, everything I do has to kind of follow in the footsteps of what the vision actually is,
100%.
right? Like, how am I making what I said was the goals a reality instead of it being sort of a like just, an imaginary dream.
100%. And when a brand owner
Mhm.
sees that, right, versus let's say another agency owner who is driving like a Lamborghini and is always just like, traveling. And honestly, someone like me, when I had my agency a little early on, is like you can see why they would rather work with someone like you. And that's why I said it's like you've taken such a different path than most I know, is because most have optimized their business to provide them a lifestyle. And I'm 100% a victim of that, And I think in a way you've taught me that as well, is like, yo, and I think, we've kind of also collectively kind of got to that point where like, even if we had the money for the watch or the nice things, it's like we prioritize other things, or maybe like, the long-term goals of it
100%.
than the lifestyle where, because again, like if you're a business owner, and I had this moment, I remember in 2021 when I was like in Mexico or something, I'm like, if I was an e-commerce brand and I knew how my business was and I seen the other agencies that I know exist, would I work with me? And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't work with me, yo.
You got to
Like,
work with the agency. You got the winner's pants.
yeah,
And the
yo,
Zara
literally, yeah,
shirt.
like Woolworths, you know what I'm saying? Gifted Air Force Ones, Woolworths, pants right here for 600 rand.
I borrowed these glasses as
my
well.
friend's shirt that I stole, friend's shades that I stole. So it's like I kind of embrace this, and I just want to I like focusing on the long-term side of things. I would say, rather than that designer phase, getting that nice car, the nice watch. Kind of been over that, and I feel like hopefully you learned that from me, and then
100%.
all those lessons that like I had to go through, the mistakes I made, like you learned that, and I was able to instill in you.
I think I have to speak on that. Is like I think people underestimate the power of a mentor. I think that's where I tell everyone I got lucky, because like no matter how hard I work, I still think luck was a big factor. Like I think finding your program, finding the community in there. There was a lot of people who built amazing businesses, and even though like we're all technically competitors, they technically competitors, even though okay, even though we're all technically competitors, they've helped me a lot, right?
Facts.
Like I think specifically in the program, we had like Eric, Rowan, Umar, Aiden, Brandon, guys who are, still focusing on the same ICP as I am, but in each stage of building the agency, I had a lot of them giving me a lot of good advice, right? Like at different stages, they all gave different valuable pieces. We had a lot of conversations, and those are things that I believe I got very lucky with. I think it was awesome to see people like, all those people have abundant mindsets, and then, having just the amazing mentors, right? Like I think throughout my journey, everyone I've met, whether it was Dylan, Sharma, and a lot of people in Cape Town as well, came through having the right mentor who not only knew all those people but found people with similar values to yourself.
True.
And so I got to connect with those people very easily because I shared those values. So no matter where I was, it didn't matter if I was doing 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year, 8 figures a year, they all or less than 6 figures a year, they would all treat me the same no matter what, right? They'd still look at my problems and try to help me and not like, shit on me for them. They'd genuinely find a way to help. and they always wanted the best for me, like I do for them. And I think that's what has made the journey so much more fruitful. Is not
True.
just providing the value to my team, because I know I emphasized that a lot during this podcast, but also just showing that, like, the people who believed in me, proving them right. Like I think
True.
you, Sharma, and Dylan especially have been the three, like, become like brothers for me.
For
Shout out Dylan and Sharma as well.
real.
But for me now, it's like literally a goal to make it so big that I make the three of you guys proud as well.
100%, man. Outside of the email and the network, what are some 3 things you learned from me? I'm curious on that.
3 things I learned from you specifically.
I'm
So I
curious.
think this year especially, it's just like the material things don't matter, right? Like I think
True.
2024, I probably, like, the agency did its biggest numbers, but we spent so much money on just learning, like, team and everything. And even though there was massive amounts of money spent on team and team equipment and everything the team needed, I was kind of fine being able to just be like, I'm still gonna go to Winners and shop, etc.
Yeah, we like take pride in asking people how much we paid for things, and then like
And then being like, this is 20 bucks.
it's actually $5, buddy. You think it's 70? $5.
I think that was massive for me. And honestly, I've been taking pride in that. Another thing was also just genuinely connecting with people. I know you told me a lot about the mistakes you made very early on of, connecting with people for the wrong reasons, in the sense of just like, you see that they're, and we come from a place where we didn't really have much growing up. So when you see that, it's like, yeah, I just want to be around people who have a lot, because I just want to, I'm abundant now. Like, I have all the money I need and I can be spending time with them, etc. But, I think I didn't really go into that phase, because I learned that, it's just genuine connections. Like, I think that matters so much more. Genuine relationships. I think the most money I spend is like when I gift to, whether it's to the people who have supported me or like my mentors, whatever. It's like try to invest most of my money there, and that's when I don't feel bad about things. And you taught me a
True.
lot of that. So I think the third and most important thing I learned from you, I think, was just staying true to yourself, and then really realizing that it's all just a journey. It's not, there's no comparing yourself to others and this is the destination. I know a lot of you watching this, some people actually requested on the last podcast episode to hear me, and that's because they see me on like the Klaviyo partner page or the articles where it's like Arcady Media has made this, whatever, right? So it's like, I think it's probably a lot of people being like, hey, I need to be there too. But what I've realized, and I think what you taught me a lot, was like, none of that matters. It's really just finding, what matters to you and doing things that are fulfilling to you, right? Like, backtracking on our conversation about the supercars, maybe I just didn't do that because it's not my values, but there might be someone who just really loves cars so much that they spend their last dollar doing so, right? Like, and so I think it's just finding things that are true to you, and especially with everything that's going on online, like,
True.
and just seeing all these people do all these materialistic things. I think it's more just like finding what you genuinely love, and it can even be materialistic, right? Like, we indulge and spend money on things we genuinely enjoy,
yeah,
right?
like, for sure.
Right? And so I think that's what I've learned from you, because I've seen you kind of be yourself, even in those business environments. Like, we've had dinners where it's like, you can imagine 8-figure entrepreneurs sitting at the table and Splash just making the craziest jokes that are like more true to him. Like, everyone's sitting there seriously, but they,
But
love
that's
Splash Man
that's
for
what they
being
like
himself,
me, you know what I'm saying?
right?
If I was an NPC, then I feel like they'll, like, like, I never want to put up a front. Like, you just
Right.
gotta be you. You gotta stay true to you.
Like, no other e-commerce entrepreneur online would be like, hey, I shop from Winners, and
Oh, bro, yeah,
like,
you
maybe
know
like
what I'm saying?
Hermosi, but that's about
Yeah,
it.
I really like really, one, don't care, and two, it's like, I think even in the past, like, two points to what you said. One is like not valuing reputation over character, where I feel like I made that mistake in the past and kind of passed that on to you. Is like, yo, like, if you're gonna fuck with this person, fuck with them because who they are, not who they are online or what they have or whatever. And then the second is like, yeah, like, like, what do you really love, man? Just staying true to that. And you kind of see it here in this trip is like, you know how much I love cooking. And it's like, sometimes I'd rather just do that than go to a club or go to whatever. There's so many things to do here, but we live a very simple life of playing paddle, cooking food, and just working, really, you know what I'm saying? And it feels aligned, and like, just doing that, I think just doing that instead of just trying to force things, because I've definitely done that, right? Where I'm like, oh, I need to be here. Like, I genuinely think a lot of these Miami entrepreneurs don't even enjoy living in Miami, but they just do it because that's the hub, in a way.
100%.
Or like the Dubai.
Yeah.
Let me move to a desert with prostitutes to save on taxes. Yeah, let's do that. Very fun.
Type
Anyways,
shit.
but yo, we're gonna do another one. I think when I'm back in
We
your
got to.
office, we gotta do one in the office.
We got to.
We've been wanting to do the Cape Town one for a while. I think there's definitely gonna be a part 2.
100%.
I'm gonna put all of Tarun's socials down below. Go ahead and check it out.
And before we sign off, I do want to say something. It's so crazy because when you first started this podcast, this is before I even like fully went all into the agency. I didn't know Splash at all. I used to listen to like all the podcast episodes during COVID, riding my bicycle, being like, dude, one day, like, you know, I'll be where Splash is, or I get to like actually, you know, be known or whatever. Like I think I listened to all the podcast episodes with like Iman, Luca. You had some insane guests like Brandon Carter. And it's just so crazy to me because sitting here and concluding our first podcast episode, it's insane.
It's
like,
a full circle
so
moment, you know.
full
So it's a
circle.
full circle moment that is something to be proud of. So thank you, man. Love you like a
Thank
little
you.
brother. You already know this.
Of course.
To all those watching, guys, go ahead, follow him down below. Gonna be dropping more podcasts. Like I said, there's gonna be a part 2. So you want to let us know what you want us to cover in the next one.
Yeah,
I'll
we
go
can be
ahead
more
and
tactical.
do that. Yeah, 100%. We can get more tactical, whatever you guys want to hear. We're in beautiful Cape Town right now. This is something to be grateful for, man.
Hell yeah.
But anyways, guys, much love. See you guys in the next episode. Peace out.